Welcome back to the Kia World Extreme Games here in Shanghai, China for a Kia moment of the day here on the vert ramp. Inline skating taking control, and they are blasting out of the pipe. And we are in the midst of the vert final with the men. Really spectacular, the Yasutoko brothers. How about this double backflip, skying super high, coming back into the ramp. Again, you're watching Kia World Extreme Games right here in Shanghai, China, and the crowd surrounding the vert ramp here at the aggressive inline final. We are in the midst of the final, right in the middle of it. Matter of fact, they get 4 runs. We now approach run number 3. Hi again, everybody. I'm Paul Higgins along with Arlo Eisenberg. We welcome you back to the inline vert final. The wind is picking up a little bit as we get later in the day. It's actually pretty darn good conditions right now, Arlo.
Beautiful conditions. The weather came out just the perfect time. And you know, the crowd always comes out for the Yasutokos. It's really shaping up to be a great event. Perfect weather, perfect crowd.
And here we go. And this is Woropaj Bonin.
We are in the second half of the heat, so you'd expect these guys, this is the time where they're going to start opening it up a bit, especially as we get into the later skaters, the guys really contending for the podium spots, especially since we've seen some pretty good runs from these guys. Now's the time to take some chances, really gun for those top spots.
And Woropaj falls towards the end of his run. He had a 55.33, so he'll have one more run to go. And this will bring us to CJ Wellsmore. And CJ, as we mentioned it, can't mention enough because he put on such a great show. He won the street final yesterday in day 1 of our competition, and he won it with, you know, a lot of style, a lot of speed, just enjoyable to watch the Aussie.
It's great. He's a really fun skater to watch. And, you know, kind of like Takeshi was out there competing in street. Takeshi made the street finals but wasn't really a contender to win it. CJ won the street finals, and now he's out here competing on vert. Not really a contender to win it, but showing some of that street attitude, charging over the channel into the drop-in. That was pretty fun.
That's crazy.
Cross rocket grab. And like you said, he always brings energy, so he's always going to have fun. He's always going to make it fun to watch. Backside, kind of getting UFO into it. Getting really low on that backside. Double Liu Kang, 540. Just sort of making it up as he goes, and then running over the channel. And
into a backflip.
Below vert backflip.
So, yeah, you hold on to your heart because you got ours skipping a little bit. CJ Wellsmore, and that's what it is. It's about being a showman.
Even if it's not great, it's fun.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's why they do the action sports that they do. Once again, he's running over the channel here. This is so cool.
Any way you can do it, just don't fall down the hole.
Jeez, did he get close? That's just deadly right there.
And, you know, there actually is coping on the bottom of that channel for some strange reason. CJ almost ran into it. Might have accidentally done a trick there.
Maybe it's for the skateboarders to do a 50-50 up and around it.
That's what you would think. Yeah, that's all I could think of.
Wellsmore with a 52.67 leads us to Leo Riot. Again, now we are in run number 3.
Yeah, kicked out the Liu Kang 540 flat spin. Now, you watch these guys earlier in the round, and the difference between them and the top guys. I mean, you can see lower amplitude. Some of the tricks are the same, but they're 6-7 feet lower. There's a fakie 720.
And that's hours and hours on the ramp. I mean, the more they spend on the ramp and in the pipe, the more honed their tricks will get and the higher they'll get. You know, it's one of those things where the Yasutoko brothers, they live on the dang ramp.
That's it. And they have their own skate park in Japan, and it's not just about the tricks, but it's how high you do them, how controlled, how good you make it look. So
Tomo's going now from Japan, Tomo Hirano. And he has a score of 78. As Arlo mentioned, he's kind of like a little protege of the Yasutoko brothers.
Well, we have a couple of Japanese skaters out here, a couple of young guys. They're both 15. This is Tomo. And he is not from the same town as Yasutoko. He's from Tokyo. So certainly he is aware of the Yasutokos, and everybody that skates vert on inlines is influenced by the Yasutokos. This guy's got a little bit of his own style. And at only 15 years old, I mean, you can see already he's getting really big. He's getting really good amplitude out of the ramp and throwing some big tricks. So a bright future ahead of this guy. And you really see Japan taking over inline vert.
So it's really Tomo Kawasaki with the influence of the Japanese riders, of the Yasutoko brothers.
And we'll see him in a little bit. And if we're not careful, I mean, we could end up with a Japanese sweep.
Right.
I mean, he's knocking on the door of that third spot right now.
That would be impressive. So now Wake Shipman from USA. And he skates on the mini mega ramp as well.
Yeah, he travels around with the Nitro Circus, and he skates with one of the best, if not the best, street skaters in the world, a guy named Chris Haffey, who couldn't make it to this event because he's out on the Nitro Circus. But I mean, getting to skate together with him every day, it's a real privilege and a real boon to Wake Zone skating.
Wake Shetland, 17 years old, here in Shanghai, China. And again, the judges looking at creativity, style, difficulty of tricks, using the entire ramp, how high you get out of the ramp, what kind of style you have. There's so much to look at when you're a judge. It's not an easy job.
Yeah, and sometimes with these skaters who are more comfortable on street, you'll see them shy away from the bigger airs, and maybe they'll throw a more difficult grind. You saw Wake did a 270 Savannah, which was cool, but it's hard to compare against some of the things we're seeing from the Yositokos, for instance.
Anthony Avella from France. And, it's important for the skaters to know what the judges are looking for, too, right? I mean, if they're not doing stuff that the judges are looking for, it sometimes can work against you.
Yeah, and ideally you want it to work the other way. And, you want the skating to dictate. Yeah, exactly. And the judges are looking just for the best skating.
Right, but that's not the way it works out all the time.
Not all the time, but the judges are really good, and they're all skaters themselves. So,
right.
We're all on the same page. Everybody sort of values the same things in the sport.
Well, I loved when we got on the bus the other night on the way home, and you guys got in a real good discussion about judging and styles and scores. It was great. I mean, that's what fuels this sport.
That's what happens in a subjective sport. For every person, there's a different opinion.
Yeah.
But we are all in the same ballpark. We might quarrel over little details, but we're all talking about the same thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Avella with that 67 plus, and now we go a little bit further into the competition with Kawasaki, again a high flyer, a young kid out of Japan.
Yes, and this is an important run because that's too bad. I was just going to say, this kid right now is, it's a matter of a fraction of points, talking about the third spot on the podium. He's right behind Nikolai in the standings. This run obviously is not going to bring him up, but he's got one more run to try and get into that third spot, if not better.
A 79.67 right now, what he has. And he'll just roll out of this run. This run will not be his best score.
You're right. He might be in third currently.
Yeah.
But Nikolai's nipping at his heels, right? So he can't afford to. Okay.
Yep, just right behind him.
I know it's close for those two
right
guys.
There.
Yep.
And here he is coming up by the coping. The coping is that metal bar on top of the ramp. Sticks out about 1/4 of an inch. And we get set now for Nikolai. And 79.33. So he is just below Kawasaki.
And there's no reason that he can't improve that score and move up. He's got some big tricks, and he may even start taking some chances now that there's only 2 runs left. There's a big inverted mute 540 right into the forward corkscrew 900. And Nikolai is the only one who's been attacking that channel. So if he, and in the practice rounds, he's been trying to spin into a grind over the channel. If he can hit something like that, he could definitely move his score up.
Marlo, the wind picking up a little bit over the channel, as you just mentioned.
Yeah, and he's also got a grind over that channel. Look at this, coming back the other way. There it is.
Nice.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
he had it. He hit that grind just the way he wanted to do it. 450 backside rail.
Oh, he fell with just like 4 seconds left to go.
But he's showing his hand. If he lands that, he's going to move up into third at least.
Nikolai with a solid run until the very end. Be interesting to see how the judges score that, because he fell at the very end, had a really terrific run going into it. And now we move on to Takeshi Yasutoko, who had a 90 his last run.
Which is our leading score to this point.
That's right. His brother Eito has an 88.
Right, so not a whole lot of breathing room there. Takeshi's going to continue to open it up.
Nikolai will hold on to the 79.33, so...
Watch the height of these airs. Huge! Laid out flat spin. So when Eito does, when Takeshi does a setup air, oh no, I'm missing the double flat spin. But sometimes we'll comment that a guy doing a setup air is kind of wasting a wall. But Takeshi's setup airs are so high that they are, impressive tricks unto themselves.
Absolutely. So the 90 right now is the score to beat. The window's cracked open, the door's cracked open a little bit for Eito with an 88.
Takeshi called for one more trick, so he might.
This doesn't
give us
count.
But he might be giving us a tip of something he wants to try in his final run. No, didn't get it.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see what he's cooking.
It's almost like he wants to wait a little bit later on to do that because he doesn't want to show his cards or fall and get hurt.
But it is interesting to know that he's got something he's saving. You know?
He sucked it up there. He didn't like the way he was coming back into the pipe. So Eito Yasutoko, last year's winner, with an 88 right now. Boy, you used to be able to tell the difference of these guys. Now it's very hard to tell because they've grown up. And
Takeshi used to be the young one.
Yeah, Takeshi used to be the young one.
Big airs.
Flailing way up in the air.
There's his signature 1080 California roll right into the fakie 360 with the rocket grab, setting up mute air. Now let's see if he can save these walls. Landing kind of low. That's a big double backflip. And he went for the coping. Remember we talked about he's going to have to get on the coping if he wants to compete with his brother. He attempted the topside sole and missed it. There's a clean double backflip. There's a zero spin fish brain. And he's like, why couldn't I hit that in a perfect run? So both of these guys showing what they're looking for in their perfect run, but not quite hitting it here in the third round.
Well, that's going to be amazing as we wind this one down. Still, one more run to go by every single skater. It will come down to this young man here on the final run of the day. Eito Yasutoko. I don't think he will not get higher than 88 on that particular run. Or if he does, that will be a pretty interesting score, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I don't think he will, but it's very interesting that he did that grind and landed that zero spin fish brain. Because what it says to Takeshi and everyone else is if he hits that in his perfect run, so he could move above 90.
So we come down to the final runs of the day. We'll have that when we come back. You're watching the Kia World Extreme Games. More after this.